Television and recording star Jim Neighbors.
A great moment at Indianapolis. Some 300,000 people, and Jim Neighbors singing "It's a Tradition Now," back home again in Indiana.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming and the light still burning bright through the bitterness for me. The new moon haze in all its fragrance through the fields I used to go. When I dream about the moonlight on the wilderness, when I long for my Indiana home.
Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. We are back home again in Indiana, and it is time for the iRacing Silver Crown Cup, kicking off one of my favorite weeks of the year. It's Vintage Indy Week here on the National Racing Network. Tonight, the Crowns at IRP. Tomorrow night, the Sprints at IRP. USF Pro at IRP coming up later on this week. Oh, I love this time of year. My favorite, absolutely favorite 2 weeks of the year. My name is Chris Graham. I'm joined in the booth, as always, by Mr. Patrick Byrd. Qualifications are already underway, and we will pick up the number one of Tracy Petter, who is out on the speedway in the raceepi.com at number one. And Bizzle, I don't know how you can't not be excited and jacked up and everything else up on the chip for this week.
I absolutely love this track. IRP is one of the greatest racing circuits in the world, unlike its much larger cousin that's down the road.
You shut your mouth.
I have been to this track for the Carb Night Classic. I've been here for the US Nats. I have camped out here for the US Nats working on a stock eliminator car. We came home that weekend with a Wally. This is one of the best racetracks in the world.
Whoa, new name at the top of the speed charts here. Victor Valley, at least for a moment anyway, to 21.65. Now, Tracy Petter to the top of the charts, 20.027. Derek Love working his second qualification lap. We'll pick up D. Love. He's currently third on the board behind Brandon Buckberger. The Street Side Classics, number 2, little squirrely off at turn number 4 that time. Lap number 2 in the books for D. Love, and it will be good enough to go to second quick. Pick up Joe Quinn now working his second lap in car number 7. He was fourth quick after lap number 1. Lap number 2 for Quinn will be just a tick slower. How about a look here at James Watson in the number 39 machine. Team Watson Racing setups on the side of that car. He was 9th quick in race number 1. And how about a Bizzle? 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock as Watson finishes his run. So does Mitch Drevnovsky. Thomas Lewandowski 4th quick as Drevnovsky goes up to position number 2. Off at turn number 4, the Johns Manville number 3 of Lewandowski will go just a tick slower on lap number 2. Let's pick up Josh Batista rolling out for his qualification run. Strength of field tonight, 4,661. This might be the biggest SOF race we've ever called.
Yeah, this is almost getting the pro level stuff at this point. These are 11, 12 of the 13, I guess, of the best drivers on the iRacing platform. You just can't beat these guys.
Yes, 13 cars. Victor Valley is the lowest I-rated driver at a 2643. Tracy Petter's number 1. How about 8,176 as Josh Batista goes up to P2. 20.041, only 14 thousandths off the quick time.
How is Batista only the 11 car? He has to run another series outside of these in the sprints because he is always up front in them.
Lap number 2 for Batista is going to be just a tick slower as Jeffrey Stanton is going to roll out onto the racetrack. Sign on checking in the comments here. Let's see. Make sure we're going to get the right one up here. Hell yeah, Jim Neighbors singing Back Home Again in Indiana. Oh, it is such a beautiful thing, isn't it? By the way, if you think Bizzle's an idiot, you can send your hate mail to him at bizzle@nationalracingnetwork.com. We will not discuss his opinions of the world's greatest race course because it is exactly that.
Yeah, Indianapolis Raceway Park might be the world's greatest racing facility.
You mean a sign on saying Erpor Plorp? Oh, buddy, Jeffrey Stanton goes for a wild ride off at turn number 4, and he's only going to be 9th quick.
Lucas Oil O'Reilly's Raceway Park?
Yes. Yes, something like that.
There is an O'Reilly's Auto Parts store that is about 2 minutes from this racing facility.
That is correct.
I had to purchase a relay there last time we were racing. Just a generic relay. Had to go back behind their counters and just start pulling out relays till I found one that matched up to get our cooling fan working again.
That's pretty funny. Well, cars are out on the grid, so let's take a look at that starting grid. Well, let's see. Tracy Petter was there. Then he disappeared. Let's pick up Josh Batista here. Then he's out on the grid. Starting on the pole tonight for this 100-lap feature event for the iRacing Silver Crown Cup cars at Indianapolis Raceway Park. On the pole in car number 1, the RaceEPI.com entry, Tracy Petter with a lap time of 20.028 seconds. Starting to his outside, the Red Ream Rocket of Josh Batista. The car will be the 11 in timing and scoring, the 20 on the side of the race car, only 14 thousandths of a second back. Row number 2 will have the Coors Extra Gold number 21 of Mitch Drevnovsky. Hustler Racing Engines also on the side of that one. Car number is 21 on the car, 4 in timing and scoring. To his outside, the Street Side Classics, number 2 of Derek Love. Row number 3, the Deans Farms, Driven to Save Lives National Racing Network, number 5 of Illinois' Brandon Buckberger. On the outside of that third row will be the Johns Manville Menards, Stanley Tools, number 3 of Thomas Lewandowski. Row number 4 tonight, the number 7 of Joe Quinn out of Ohio. To his outside, the SRS number 24 of Connor Knowlton. That car will be the 9 in timing and scoring. Row number 5, the Napa Auto Parts, Rockwell, North Carolina, number 94 of Jeffrey Stanton. You'll see the 6 next to his name in timing and scoring. And the Solo Jazz number 10 of Chris Wetz out of Texas. 6th row of the grid will have the T. Watson Racing Setups number 13 of Victor Valley, alongside of the Kibu number 12 of Germany's Laura Gerhardt. Final row of the grid, the T. Watson Racing Setups National Racing Network, Martin Sports, Refined Esports, Boomer Button Boxes number 8 of Ohio's James Watson. Pace car is in. Field is getting ready to go green. They are under the control of Tracy Petter, and for this one, race fans, start's going to be all yours. First lap is in the book, so we've got a logjam at the front of the field. Tracy Petter grabbing the early race lead. Top 5 now getting single file. Well, they were 2, almost 3 wide off of turn number 4 that first time by. As Batista going to make the dive inside into 3. Maybe a little bit of a soft slider. Mitch Drevnovsky's got nowhere to go.
You know, that number 10 Solo Jazz car gives me some great ideas for what I should do to my Lexus. That might be the best looking car on the grid.
Well, considering it needs a paint job, yeah. Indy is the best oval. Isle of Man is the best road course, says Tom Lewandowski. I'm not totally sure that I agree with the Isle of Man part. Terrifyingly awesome, but I don't know what I would say the best.
It's definitely the
so
best time
good,
trial
though.
circuit in the world.
Yes. Yes, I will give you that. For time trialing, yes. Do they actually race anything? I mean, I know the bikes race there, but it's not like door-to-door car racing that you do around that.
There is 2 separate events throughout the year. There's the Isle of Man time trial, which is just a time trial, you know, who can go around the track the fastest. And then they run I believe it's the Manx Grand Prix, which they actually race the bikes against each other, like old school.
Yeah.
Absolute insanity.
Yes. Sidon checking in saying, love the Team Menard Mark Taylor livery on Lewandowski's car. Yeah, that was kind of a Robbie Gordon thing. There were several cars that kind of ran that. That was the scheme. Oh, so we've got one car bouncing off the wall, and it looks like that's going to be Connor Knowlton.
Didn't Billy Boat smack the attenuator with that scheme?
I don't know if it was the blue one or not. It might have been, actually. Kind of went for a big pirouette, too. Pick up Lewandowski on Brandon Buckberger. That time through 3 and 4, Lewandowski able to complete the pass. Buckberger, no attempt at the crossover. I would have to think here, Bizzle, with a 100-lap race, you're talking a lot of tire conservation.
Absolutely. It's going to be very, very easy to burn off not only the right front, but the right rear. As you're working the weight jacker back and forth, you're going to get this thing, kind of the fastest way around it is a little bit sideways, but if you overheat the right rear, it just gets worse and worse till it's uncontrollable.
Well, we'll see who's going to be able to hold on to this car the later in the race that we get. I mean, they're not far off of their lap times. Tracy Petter just set his best lap of the race 1 lap ago at a 20.300, so it's a full 0.3 off of where he qualified. Most of the field is in the 23s, 20.4s as we have the caution flag out for the first time here tonight. Oh, and it looks like it might be trouble for Josh Batista. Oh, no. Don't want to see trouble for the Red Ream Rocket here. Joe Quinn having to look down to the inside through 1 and 2. Oh, maybe a little bit of contact. Batista goes for a spin and a tumble. Wow. I think the Jazz car flew under. Went under Batista in the air. We'll go back
That's
to
the power of Solo Jazz.
the live look here. Pick up Chris Wetz. Yeah, he drove under the car of Josh Batista while it was in the air.
Hell yeah. That is awesome.
Here we go. Sidon is checking in. He's giving us the update here. When I hear Robbie Gordon and Team Menard, I think of the Swift and Eagle cars that had about as much neon yellow as there was blue on it. Yeah, a little bit.
And the screaming bald eagle on the front.
That is correct. He started 99 with a very similar paint job to Lewandowski when he ran a Reynard. And definitely some sad ream noises there. Dynamo checking in. Holy wets. Yes. Wets might code brown there. Good Lord. That's Pucker Factor Zulu if you're going to find it here on the iRacing platform. So now Tracy Petter has led all 14 laps here at the front of the field as the lights are still on the iRacing safety car. You have to start to wonder now, these drivers probably have a little bit of a feel for where the car is. The question becomes, are they going to make any adjustments or anything? Mitch Drevnovsky on pit lane, 7.6 second stop. You wonder if that's topping the car off with fuel, trying to get a little bit more weight onto the back end of it.
Yeah, you should have started this race with enough fuel to finish. You shouldn't need a pit stop in these cars, but by adding a little bit of fuel, you can change the balance of the car and maybe tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the big part, is just get a little bit more weight down over those rear tires. We'll see how Mitch Drevnovsky can charge through the field here as we go back to Green Flag Racing, working lap number 16. It is a great start for Petter. I think the first battle we might really see. Well, let's see. Go back here in the pack a little bit. Drevnovsky got it way squirrely. And Josh Batista is back on the racetrack. So whatever repairs were needed, he was able to get them done. Slide forward now, look at Drevnovsky, Wetz, and Watson. Well, Chris Wetz, big time loose that time through 1 and 2. He's going to give up a couple of spots. Of note, the one thing that we really didn't talk about when discussing the pit stop for Mitch Drevnovsky, there was not a tire change there. iRacing does not give these drivers another set of tires. You have to run the entire race on the one set you start with. So that means the only reason you're coming down pit road is to put fuel in the car or repair damage of some sort. I don't see a ton of damage on Mitch Drevnovsky's car. Front end looked okay.
Yeah, I think it was just a splash, a little bit of fuel in there. Yeah, nothing looks bent up at all.
Let's move a little bit further forward in the field here. Pick up Joe Quinn and Jeffrey Stanton. Stanton not really able to do any work here in your top 4. All nose to tail, but putting on a darn good show here. Just kind of waiting it out. We're still not to the quarter pole in this race. Seeing Lewandowski make a little bit of a move here on Derek Love. Maybe a little bit of contact back in the back. Thought I heard something. But now the question becomes, if you're in that spot where like Lewandowski, Buckberger are, you don't really want to race anybody per se. You don't want to race them hard and risk burning up the tires. But at some point, do you kind of have to start thinking about, what move do I want to make, or is it just too early still? I mean, we're looking at a track temperature of 80 degrees, 76 degree ambient. I would think over the next 76, 77 laps, there's a lot of track changes going to happen just with weather and the number of laps that we're going to run.
Yeah, this is still too early to try and make a big dive for the lead. Tracy Petter is not running away from the rest of the field. There's no sense of urgency where I got to pass these cars and I got to catch Petter. He's right there. He's not running away from you. You got to make it the checkered flag. Nobody cares if you lead lap 50. Nobody cares if you lead lap 75. They only care if you grab that checkered flag. So you don't want to make the move too early.
Back in the pack here, Mitch Drevnovsky going absolutely ballistic. Coming around Connor Knowlton. He tried to get around Jeffrey Stanton and make it a 2-for-1 blue light special, but nothing going there as Stanton gets way high, wide, and handsome. Tomorrow night, watch Jeffrey Stanton in the sprint car. He's going to run the Stevie Smith line around this place, which is the 2 left side tires on the apron, if not the grass, in turns 1 and 2. Just no way that you're going to make that work in one of these Silver Crown cars, though. A lot less motor, and quite frankly, a pretty significantly heavier car as Drevnovsky and Stanton continue this fight off in 2.
What's funny is it is a lot less motor, but they make almost the same horsepower. iRacing has these listed as 1 horsepower less than the sprint car. But these are 358 cubes, and the sprint cars are 410. So a little bit torquier out of the sprint cars. These things make it a little more on the top end of the RPM band.
Well, yeah, these cars were kind of designed for the longer ovals. This design of Silver Crown car would have never run a short track like IRP. It was more places like Darlington and Kansas, Chicagoland, where USAC was trying to get the Silver Crown series to be a bit of a feeder for NASCAR. It only lasted a couple of seasons because, quite frankly, the teams hated it, the drivers hated it, the fans hated it, everybody hated it. But now you have this car that really doesn't like to short track, and iRacing is, well, it's kind of pigeonholed us into this is the only air quotes Silver Crown car that uses short track.
Yeah, I wish they would give us the other spec in the Silver Crown car, because it's not just a bigger sprint car. It's a completely different driving car. They're about twice the size of a sprint car. They are massive. And they're still not all that big a car.
Yes, significantly bigger car with some key differences as well. The biggest one that comes to mind being the requirement for an onboard starter. The car has to start on its own, and it has to move initially under its own power. That's not true of the sprint cars.
Silver Crowns have a 2-speed transmission. The engine is mounted, I guess they're both mid-engine, but in the Silver Crown it's a lot more mid-engine. It's right in front of the driver there, whereas in a sprint car it's kind of sitting half under the driver, half under the front axle. You have a much larger fuel tank, a much longer wheelbase.
Sidon is asking the question, what are they, like 1,700 pounds? I want to say like 1950 was the number, or 2150, something weird like that.
I can look it up right now.
But they're not very heavy. I mean, they're...
So Silver Crown, iRacing has it listed, so this chassis has 419 horsepower, 355 cube, and 1,600 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if that includes the driver or not. I'm going to assume it doesn't.
Yeah, usually these kinds of the dirt-ish cars, you don't tech with the driver. Because then you would have to weigh the drivers after the race, which obviously isn't going to happen. Although they do kind of roll them across the scales, though, with the driver in them.
Yeah. The sprint car, it has weight listed at 1,475 pounds, 410 cubic inch V8 with 820 horsepower, so 1 more horsepower than the Silver Crown. But 650 foot-pounds of torque out of that 410 cubic inch small block.
That is correct. And a higher power to weight. Oh, huge flip for Connor Knowlton. Oh, my goodness. That car was way airborne. Caution flag is out. Let's take a look and see what happened here to Connor Knowlton. Battling dealing with Jeffrey Stanton, just scrapes the wall, goes for a big tumble, little slide. Pretty pirouettes, but unfortunately a whole lot of damage now on that number 24 machine for Connor Knowlton. 1A Coffee Company, Wheelan Engineering, ski race shop entry. Now Josh Batista, Laura Gerhardt are both on pit lane, as is Connor Knowlton. So we'll go back to the front of the field here. Here we see, I think it's Thomas Lewandowski. He's way down on the inside of the racetrack. Not coming to pit lane, just trying to find some cool asphalt to cool those tires down a little bit.
So here's another spec for how much bigger these Silver Crowns are than the sprint cars. The wheelbase, so from the center of the axle to the center of the axle on a sprint car, is 90 inches. On a Silver Crown car, it is 102 inches. You have a full foot extra length just between the tires alone.
Yeah, it's a foot between the tires and about another 8 inches or so of fuel tank off the back end.
And to give you an idea of how much that changes the balance of the car, IndyCar, you can run anywhere between 109 to 111 inch wheelbase. So still just a hair longer than these Silver Crown cars are. But just those 4 inches changes the car, with 109 being the shortest from being a very snappy, very difficult to drive car, to 111 being a very mellow, very long, almost sluggish feeling car.
Probably the biggest thing for me about iRacing scanning a current generation Crown car is that one Silver Crown car can run everywhere from IRP, places like Port Royal, to the dirt miles in the Midwest. The Silver Crown series might have the most diverse schedule of an all-oval series that you're going to run. The ARCA series was close for a while, but the Crowns they run everything. And it was, the Silver Crown moniker came from the fact that the Gold Crown cars were the Indy cars of the 50s and 60s. You got good in the Silver Crowns, and then you might get a shot at Indianapolis.
Well, yeah, and at the time, the Indy cars were just bigger Silver Crowns. That they evolved from the midget cars, still running a little off
Petter's up into the wall. Big dive by Derek Love and Thomas Lewandowski, and Tracy Petter smacks the wall.
Well, that's one way to get by him.
Yeah, let's take a look at it on the replay here. See if Tracy Petter just ran a little bit high down the straightaway or what it may have been, but Derek Lowe with just a huge head of steam. Oh, baby, maybe a little bit of right side romance from Derek Lowe, but Petter got up into the outside wall. Now a little bit of damage on that right front. And now we've got a great battle for the race lead. Lewandowski and Love side by side with Buckberger close behind. These guys know we're not to the halfway point yet, right?
It's IRP. My very first experience this track, I walked into the grandstands, didn't even get up to find a seat yet, and it was lap 7 of the Silver Crown race, and there was a car catch fence first, dragging the catch fence down, or roll cage first into the catch fence, just tearing it down. I was like, I love Silver Crowns. I planted it right there, as these cars are awesome.
Yes, I was out in Indianapolis for a Brickyard 400 weekend. I was actually out there for work, so I didn't get to go to the big track, but went to IRP and caught, it was Silver Crown sprints and midgets they had out there in a one-night show. And oh my,
They prefer to be called little cars.
it was fantastic. And how about this? Mitch Drevnovsky, after making that pit stop 36 laps ago, he's now back up into a podium position and soon enough going to be challenging for the race lead.
especially if these guys keep going side by side, lap after lap. Derek
Derek
is
Love
in the
wall. Oh, Tracy Petter's back inside. They're 3 wide behind the race leaders. Top 7 cars all separated by less than a second over the start-finish line, as we are 2 laps past the halfway point. One of the things about this place, this is not the easiest of drives either. If you're using the direct drive wheels that have a fair bit of force to them and all, these drivers are getting a workout and there's still a long way to go. Several seasons ago, Brandon Buckberger and Derek Love had pretty big beef just with an inability to not run into each other. It's not like one driver was at fault all the time. They just could not keep their cars separated. Now we're seeing them run side by side. But does that cross your mind going, man, I've had issues with this guy before?
Definitely, especially if you've had a run-in with a guy week after week. You don't want to run side by side with him. You don't want to run around him at all. You either want to get by him and run away, or kind of tap the brakes a little bit and keep your distance.
Oh, and Petter gets into Buckberger. Up and out of my way, please. Tracy Petter making a very aggressive move on Brandon Buckberger. That's going to force Buckberger back into a fight now. Oh, man. Buckberger almost got into Stanton. Quinn almost got into Buckberger. My goodness. I was going to go to the replay, but... I think this really speaks to the intensity that these guys have to drive with. It's a big SOF. A lot of points are on offer tonight. You really cannot let yourself fall far back in this pack.
Yeah, you have to stay up there towards the front. Especially, this is one of the bigger tracks out of all of the short tracks. Caution is not likely to happen again. I mean, with the way these guys are racing to get up into the wall, I probably shouldn't say that. But caution is not guaranteed. You're not guaranteed to have the whole field stacked up again and have another chance to take a dive for the lead.
Stanton and Buckberger are battling. Derek Love and Tracy Petter are battling just up ahead. Thomas Lewandowski and Mitch Drevnovsky are loving what they're seeing. Well, I guess if they had mirrors in these cars, they would love what they're seeing in the rearview mirror. They like what the relatives tell them. We'll say it that way. The battles behind mean your top 2 can conserve some tires, run consistent laps, and be there with a lot to fight for at the end. Although we say they're going to be good and behave themselves, and well, that just doesn't happen. Drevnovsky makes the look on Lewandowski. What I love about these crowd cars here, kind of the flatter tracks like IRP. I mean, it's not flat by any stretch, but... Oh, hold up, caution flag is out. Trying to see.
It's not guaranteed.
Yes, that is exactly right. Looks like trouble for Joe Quinn, possibly. Slide back here. See, We saw Quinn come onto pit lane, but we didn't see an incident anywhere. Did see also that James Watson had an off track. Oh, but Quinn just pulls it to the inside and parks it. And that could be what brought us under the caution flag here again. Let's take a look and see what happened to James Watson. Oh, he bags the wall and Batista yard sails it.
Almost up and over the catch fence, and those spectators standing right there on the fence do not seem fazed by it at all.
No. Oh, my goodness.
They come from, I would assume they come from Finland. I mean, they probably grew up with Kimi Räikkönen as a kid.
Let's take another look at this one. Watson just clips the wall. And a huge wreck for Josh Batista. Oh, my goodness. Both cars able to get moving again. Watson doing the crab walk big time. So his car is on pit lane, as is Josh Batista. And that's going to leave us with 9 cars on the racetrack and on the lead lap. At the 2/3 mark in tonight's race. And I would assume both Batista and Watson will be on pit road for an extended period of time. Talked briefly about it in the intro to tonight's race, but it is Vintage Indy Week. Like I said, one of my favorite weeks of the year. Tonight, the Silver Crowns are at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m., the Sprint Cars at IRP, followed by the TNT Shock Series at Richmond. Thursday night, the USF Pro Championships are here at IRP. Friday night, Carb Night Chaos. These Silver Crowns, the Sprint Cars, the USF Pro, and the USF 2000s, all on this racetrack at IRP at the same time for 50 minutes. Insanity is going to ensue.
Silly.
Yeah. The Sprint Cars and the USF 2000s run almost identical lap times in completely different ways. As we go back to green, Mitch Drevnovsky taking the field to Gappleby's about as hard as the Sprint Cars will to the USFs this weekend. And then Saturday, that race, by the way, Friday night, 9 p.m. start time, I think. It will not be broadcast. I will likely be driving in it if I'm not stuck at work.
Start time of that one can always be pushed back too, because I don't expect a huge turnout for that one. I expect probably 5 guys from each of the series we run.
That is correct. But like you said, that one's more kind of a silliness race. And then Saturday night, the 4th annual TNT Vintage Indy. 5 cars representing the history of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on their racetrack at the same time. The DW12 230 plus mile an hour speeds. You know the car. It's the same one they run now, just without the aero screen. And it has the bolt-on Kardashians on the back of it. Then we have the IR05, the crap wagon, as Paul Tracy called it, the IRL kind of car that it was known for. Then we run the Lotus 79, kind of a throwback to the 80s, late 70s, early 80s Indy cars. The Lotus 49, the kind of rear-engine Revolution cars, and the iRacing Sprint car, harkening back to kind of the Roadster era days. That race every year is my favorite thing to drive in. It is just such a blast. You're in traffic all the time. It doesn't matter what car you're running. And the closing speeds are just silly. Over 120 mile an hour between the DW12 And the Lotus 49.
I don't think it's that much, because the 49 does get up to like 170, 180 before you have to slam on the brakes. This 49 is actually faster down the straights than the 79.
Oh, Jeffrey Stanton bangs the wall. What a save, Jeffrey Stanton.
Had it in the grass for a little bit there.
Sign on the crap wagon. The only thing Paul Tracy correctly identified. And the color of Danica Patrick's shoes.
I did not hate the crap wagon.
I like the crap wagon.
I enjoyed the crap wagon. It's still one of my favorite cars to drive in iRacing.
If not for the pack racing, the crap wagon was not a terrible car. The pack racing it brought about was the problem. I mean, I have been an IndyCar fan about as long as I've been alive. And yes, I loved the early 90s cars. They just looked so fast. Sitting still, they looked fast. But I honestly think in terms of safety, there has never been a safer Indy car. But the aesthetics of it are getting a little long in the tooth. I think it's time for them to make a new cars. Oh, Love Buckburger contact D-Love wild ride.
Stanton getting involved too.
Buckburger got a piece. Stanton got a piece. And we go under the caution flag one more time here with 20 laps to go. See what happened here. I think D-Love just got a little high on corner exit, clips the wall. Buckburger got away with one. Derek Love, not so much. Let's take a look at it one more time, and we'll pick it up from Jeffrey Stanton's view. Oh, Stanton tried to shoot the gap. And unfortunately, maybe the end of the night here for Jeffrey Stanton. Looks like James Watson will get a lap back.
I think Derek Love's car is a bit cooked there.
Yeah, D-Love's car is definitely crabbing bad. Let's see who else is going to pull down pit lane. Looks like Chris Wetz is on pit lane as well. James Watson is on the racetrack, but he is, I believe, he got a lap back. So we'll see if Watson is tailed up with the field here. And he is not yet. So James Watson, well, he's back on pit lane. But at this point, if Watson got the lap back, there's no reason not to stop and put a little bit of fuel in the car. Help the thing grip up. That's exactly what he does. 11.1 seconds on pit lane. James Watson is back on the lead lap and in position number 7 after a huge wreck with Josh Batista. At least I think he's on the lead lap. At least that's what it looks like. But either way, 6, maybe 7 cars on the lead lap left here, Bizzle, with 16 and a half laps to go. Now what are we going to see? Several of the leaders have been banged up. Mitch Drevnovsky is back to the race lead.
You're either going to see an absolute barn burner of a finish or a huge crash that means someone that was starting the race in the back of the pack is going to earn a ton of iRating tonight?
Well, as it stands right now, Victor Valley and Laura Gerhardt, the 13 and 12 cars respectively, look like they are going to steal a ton of iRating. A lot of that courtesy of Joe Quinn and Connor Knowlton, who were the 7 and 9 cars all the way at the back end of the field. Now seeing James Watson back in his pit stall. So maybe doing some optional damage repairs here as well, but down to 15 laps to go. Who's it going to be? Mitch Drevnovsky, Tracy Petter, Thomas Lewandowski, your top three. Buckberger, Valley, and Gerhardt round out your 6 cars on the lead lap as we go back to green flag racing with 15 to go. I'm trying to think here. Drevnovsky was backwards at one point. I don't think Lewandowski was backwards. But Buckberger was involved in a pretty heavy incident. Most of the cars here at the front of the field have had some sort of an issue. But you would have to think now the race is on. Oh, as Petter gets it up into the wall. You gotta be thinking the tires are just junk at this point. Although I say
these things can't be driving good.
The 5-lap average for Mitch Drevnovsky, 20.298. He qualified at a 21.37. Now the 5-lap average is down to a 22.64. They're running almost qualifying laps on 90-lap-old tires. It'll be 10 to go this time by the start-finish line for Mitch Drevnovsky. Watson down out of the way inside of 1 and 2. Brandon Buckberger starting to go to work here on Thomas Lewandowski. He wants to put that car up on the podium, make another donation to Driven to Save Lives. $5 for a third place finish, $10 for a second, $50 for a race win. And it's interesting to see that these cars are now well off that top line, which is kind of the preferred way to run around this place. It's not really that middle to low lane.
Yeah, and I don't think this track has progressive banking. I think it's just how the corners are shaped that you want to run all the way around the top. It kind of gives you a huge run down these monster straightaways.
Yeah, you kind of make it, that's the way to make it as long of a straightaway as possible. And keep a ton of pace up as well. Tracy Petter starting to close in on Mitch Drevnovsky here at the front. The gap's still sitting at about 0.4 of a second. Now it's back up over half a second as we are down to 5 circuits remaining. Petter really starting to fall back now. The gap is 0.75 of a second. We're going to hold this battle for the third position, as it's really the only fight on the racetrack right now. 4 different drivers have led laps in this race. 3 of them are your top 3. Race leader Mitch
Trevnowski.
Okay.
No challenge from Petter behind at this point. That gap, it's slowly shrinking down, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere fast enough.
No, I think Tracy would really have to just do some bonsai stuff here. As the white flag is out. We're down to 1 lap to go here at IRP. Petter gains about a 10th, but it will not be enough without a mistake. Through 3 and 4 for the final time. Under the twin checkers, and Mitch Trevnowski gets the win at IRP. Oh my goodness, 4/100ths of a second separating Lewandowski from Buchberger at the finish. Let's take a look at the replay on that one. Buchberger got a great run into 3 and 4. Tries it up to the outside, but just about half a car length short. As Mitch Trevnowski picks up the win. The race results are official, so we'll take a look at your race results. Only 6 cars on the lead lap. That'll be Mitch Trevnowski, Tracy Petter, Thomas Lewandowski, Brandon Buchberger, Victor Valley, and Laura Gerhardt. James Watson coming home 7th, 1 lap down. The rest of these cars all having big-time issues at various points in the race. Derek Love, 8th, Chris Wetz, 9th, Jeffrey Stanton finishing in the 10th position. Josh Batista coming home 11th, Joe Quinn in 12th, and Connor Knowlton in the 13th position. So now it's time for us to get ready to do some victory lane interviews here. Let's take a look. Yeah, we got everybody in here, so let's do this. Slow things way down, and we'll pick up the fancy camera shot here. Bring in our race winner tonight, Mr. Mitch Trevnowski.
Look at the right front there. You could see there was damage the whole night with that car.
Well, yeah, Mitch, that was going to be my leadoff here. You had a little bit of an incident. Not a ton of damage, but how key was the pit stop that you made at lap number 13? Because it seemed like that little bit of fuel really helped the car turn as we were late in the race.
I didn't even fuel the car up. I felt like it was handling good, but I knew I made a little mistake there down the backstretch and knew that I had some damage. I didn't know how bad it was. It only ended up being like 10 seconds, so I don't know if I had not pit what it would have done, but I figured come down, fix it, and then just take a little different approach from the back and try to save.
Well, on a night that we did have a fair amount of attrition, but you really did it the hard way. You were back up inside the top 5 within 25 or so laps. How difficult was the passing here tonight? Because it seemed like it was kind of one lane for everybody, and that just that lane shifted around.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. This is one of my favorite combos, and I think that kind of plays a role in that. You know, it is one lane, really. It's kind of that middle that you run. You can do the top and maybe a little lower, but once you get under someone or on their outside, because it's flat, a little bit of banking, it kind of gives both guys a shot to run side by side and have a good battle. And I had a lot of fun coming up through and trying to get by those guys in battle. And yeah, I know there was a little battle of attrition out there. I guess a couple guys got into some incidents, but I don't think anyone got away scot-free tonight. But it was a good race. I had fun battling everyone. Glad we could take it home.
Yeah, this one was a like you said, the battle of attrition. Does that get frustrating behind the wheel, just knowing that you're going to see a caution every 15, 20 laps or so, and you got to kind of just reset yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely part of it, depending on where you're running. But once I got up to 5th or 6th there, whatever it was, I kind of knew I'm either going to have to go run him down if we run this thing out green, or I get a lucky yellow, and I ended up getting that to bring me back to him. And then, yeah, you kind of get stuck there for a lap or two, especially when it gets 2x2 and you don't really have anywhere to go. But you just try to stay focused and kind of power through it and take what you can. But like I said, I love battling all these guys here everywhere we go. It's a lot of fun. Everyone's clean, and we just have a good show every time. So a lot of fun. Glad we could win it.
Yeah, it was a great show you put on here tonight, Mitch. Thank you very much for it. We do appreciate it. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs you want to get in here for us.
Yeah, just you guys for doing the broadcast as always. You do a great job. The Sprint, the Crown. We should have another good show here tomorrow with the Sprint cars and all the other streams you guys do. I check them out sometimes. They're pretty good. So always shout out to you guys. Ski Race Shop, Elite Performance Industries, everyone for building a good set. This thing was a rocket. We were able to come from the back and get it done. So, yeah.
All right, Mitch. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us up here in the booth for a couple of minutes. And let's see. Next, we're going to talk to our runner-up finisher tonight, Mr. Tracy Petter. And Tracy, you had some damage. I think everybody had some damage at varying points tonight. Was that the kind of race you thought we would have going into tonight, or did you see things playing out a little bit cleaner for everybody?
That was a very odd race to me. It all started when I accidentally chopped Derek off the restart, and I ended up just wanting to give him the inside so we could battle it out, because I don't like chopping something that's a little dirty. And I lifted a bunch and accidentally slid a little too far down while I was letting him get to my inside, and we made contact. And after that, I made some more mistakes, hit a couple more people, and feel pretty bad about it.
It seemed like tonight was one of those nights where everybody was pinballing, whether it was off of other cars, off the wall. How difficult was the setup to control tonight, or was it a weather conditions thing? It just seemed like there was a lot going on for everybody.
I feel like for me at this track, single monitor really doesn't help you out, because there's so many lines people can run, and I'm just forced to always predict where the guy on the outside is going to be. I'm usually pretty good at it, but with the slider line, you're trying to slide up and get right up to their door so you can get a good run off still, and I just misjudged it a couple times and ended up dooring a couple people. I think that's the biggest struggle for me here.
Well, I will join you on that struggle bus. The single monitor life is not the easiest way to go. But, man, still, great run tonight, leading a race-high 44 laps. Congratulations on this runner-up finish tonight, and give us those sponsor plugs and shout-outs one more time.
Yeah, shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast, of course, and shout out to EPI and SRS.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming up and hanging out with us in the booth here for a minute. And now we'll bring in our third place finisher, Mr. Thomas Lewandowski. And Thomas, it seemed like your car was really good. We spent a long time discussing it. I think it's the only car without damage. Talk about the race a little bit from your perspective, because it seemed like there was a lot going on around you all the time.
Yeah, I'm mentally exhausted after that one. I started pretty far back. I think it was like 6th or 8th or whatever. I was, mid-pack. And I was pretty much around cars the entire time. Managed to get the lead. Then, me and Mitch started racing, and then the caution came out, which kind of squashed that, unfortunately. But all things considered, like, Tracy and Mitch don't race for points, so this is almost like a win for me, and for points, wise. So I'm very happy. Clean race, had a lot of fun. A lot of wrecks I wasn't involved in. I'll take that, because I've been getting wrecked a lot lately in other series, but can't ask for much more.
Well, and you've got a tight championship battle that you're going to fight here with Brandon. Just a couple of weeks left in the season, heading off to Concord and then heading off to Indianapolis next week, the world's greatest race course. And then we're going to round out the season with a visit to the Lady in Black at Darlington Raceway. What are your thoughts as we head to those? Because that's kind of more the traditional track for this style of Silver Crown car.
Yeah, those tracks are my wheelhouse. I always run super good there. I love them. And Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the greatest. Not IRP. I don't care what Bizzles thinks, unfortunately.
Listening to the broadcast while you're racing.
I was watching during qualifying. Your Yes, a little bit. So I'm excited for that, and the points. I'm not sure how it's all going to work out because I ended up in a guardrail last week, pretty much last. So I've got like really bad drop weeks, and it's probably going to shake out, at the end, close like it always is.
Well, what I'm seeing right now, and I don't know if it's just that points haven't updated yet or what, but I am seeing the identical point totals as we entered the race with. I'm showing 9 weeks counted now for both you and Brandon, 1379 to 1359, a 20-point gap with 2 races to go.
Yeah, that's pretty much one mistake, could be the determining factor there. So, hopefully, next couple weeks goes well. I've had a lot of luck lately, so even if I don't win, Brandon can, will be happy if he wins it, and maybe he'll stop crying so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just joking. You can get a little emotional. I don't want him to, jump off a ledge or something.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. Rubber bullets getting fired here by Thomas Lewandowski in the post race. Congratulations on the third place finish here tonight, brother, and get us the sponsor plugs and shout outs for us before we let you go.
Just a shout out to you guys. You guys do great work, putting these, out for us, for broadcasts, and, all my, friends over the drill aisle, John, Marcus, Bob, Larry. In fact, my Larry Pace is just finished his late model he's been building for like a year and a half now, and he'll be racing at Scotia Speed World, I think, in 2 weeks' time. So good luck to him. He's been putting a lot of hard work there, and I hope he does well.
Yeah, absolutely. Give him hell, Larry. That is fantastic to hear. We like hearing about our iRacers going out and doing the stuff in the real world. Thomas, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us up here in the booth. I love the pseudo shade that Thomas is throwing at Brandon Buckberger there. That's pretty darn hilarious. What do we think, though, here, Bizzle, as we get down to just a couple of weeks left in the season? I can't believe we're almost to the halfway point of 2024 here, but there is such a tight points battle here in the Silver Crowns. But I don't know that anything these guys can do at this point is going to make a difference. If a 4,600 iRating night did nothing to the point totals, this really feels like it's Lewandowski's to lose at this point.
It's definitely going to come down to the final race. Lewandowski has to keep putting up good finishes. Doesn't have to go out there and win every week, but he can't have another bad night. I think he was saying he already used up both his drop weeks, so
yeah, I'm really interested to see what's going to come of this, because so long as the numbers don't change, if you don't get a change in the points on a 4,600 iRating night, that's insane. But it's kind of what it looks like at this point here, with Lewandowski and Buckberger both having 9 weeks counted. This is going to make for a fun couple of weeks, that is for sure. With that, it's time for us to get the heck on out of here. We talked about what's going on all week here on the National Racing Network during the show. Tomorrow night, sprint cars here at Indianapolis Raceway Park, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, followed by the TNT Shock Series at Richmond Raceway, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. For Patrick Byrne, the Bizzler, James Watson, everybody else here at the National Racing Network that helps us get these shows on the air, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we will talk to you all tomorrow night. Until then, have a great night, everybody.